And what does the Trump brand mean for the Republican Party in the post-Trump era? A new survey of voters offers some ideas.
A January YouGov survey shows support for Trump among Republican voters is still very strong, but there are also some ideological divides.
2/3 of the people who voted for Trump said they're more of a supporter of Trump than the party, but that means 34% said they weren't. And as you can see, the number of people or the share of people who say they are more a supporter of Donald Trump than the Republican Party rises with self-perceived ideological conservatism.
Trump voters can self-identify as either very conservative, or moderate/liberal. Supervisor of the survey, Henry Olson, says those who say they are conservative are the biggest bloc among Trump voters. The very conservative voters are only 29% of those surveyed. Notably, 23% of those surveyed switched from Obama in 2012 to Trump in 2020. They identify with Trump's position on trade more so than consistent Republican voters.
There's a substantial block of people within the Trump coalition who would generally agree with Donald Trump's non-traditional positions on trade. 40% say that trade hurts America's economy rather than helps it, and that number rises for people who switched parties.
Olson says this is because Trump's approach to trade is a break from the traditional Republican Party approach. He adds that Trump voters are more united by the idea that trade reduces jobs for Americans.
Majorities of all social classes among Trump voters believe that trade reduces jobs for Americans. That's the poor, the working class, the middle class, and the self-described upper middle class. Regardless of what they think about trade, they all think it reduces jobs, and that's an overriding voter sentiment that Republican leaders cannot safely ignore.
When it comes to social issues such as abortion and same-sex marriage, Trump voters are divided along ideological lines. On the other hand, issues that unite Trump voters the most are patriotism and the idea of American greatness.
Christianity is under attack in America today. 89% of Trump voters agree. America is the greatest country in the world, as opposed to simply one great country among many. In Pew polls, Democrats are much likelier to take the second position of one among many, but 89% of Trump voters say it's the greatest. The fear that America is being lost is also a uniting issue. Americans are losing faith in the idea that make our country great, 90%. And note that there's no difference between party switchers and party loyalists on this.
Olson says that moving forward, the Republican Party can unite Trump voters by focusing on general feelings about the country rather than on specific policies on economics. The survey also shows that a significant portion of Trump voters show discontent for the Republican Party.